How much does a single person need in order to retire? That's what we're going to talk about here today, my friends, at the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Been getting a lot of questions and comments on the difference between married and single. And so I want to dive right into a single person's retirement needs. And I think you'll find a lot out of this. So welcome to the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, my friends, a place where you come to learn about taxes, retirement, estate planning, you name it. We talk about it. If it's got the word planning, we discuss it here. So don't forget to subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that bell to be notified for future content. All right, so let's dive right into this. This will be fun. So before I start, I had a subscriber named Susie, or Sue, and she had written or emailed me. She asked for the spreadsheet I was using, and then she made it better. There's just no getting around that. And I'm going to share it with everybody once I kind of get a better gauge of how this works. But I mean, look, she's got everything under the sun here. Rate of return, income needs, Social Security comes from dividends, capital gains, income needs, IRA, start balance, Social Security, start age, roll over the whole thing. This is just, it's fantastic. And we go down here to various sheets that she has here. Oh, that's my sheet. We go down to, actually, I'll show you. She gave me an update. She's working on another update now. Watch this, schedules. So here we have your tax on a paying, capital gains, Social Security taxability, Medicare premium, standard deduction. We have a married template here. Right here, you just type in how much income you need, how much it automatically deducts your standard deduction, how much your IRA is worth at the start, and then it'll show you right here that the IRA gap from it's just incredible. So thanks, Susie, for doing that, and my friends here at the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. I'll share this with you once I get a gauge how this works, because I was actually working with this, and I started, as I always do, I go down this rabbit hole, and I said, I got to put a video out for this. All right. So I started working with Susie's Sue's sheet there, and I just, in terms of income need for someone single, and they're going to get $20,000 a year of Social Security at 66. All right. So, and that's where the premise of this video would be. All right. So let's say you're single, you're 66 years old, and you have a $40,000 income need. All right, so you need $40,000 a year. At 66, you're going to get $20,000 a year from Social Security. All right, at 70, you'll get $26,400 a year from Social Security because of delayed earnings credit. So what I did here is I'm not inflating anything. Just FYI, I will inflate it in a second because I got a lot of comments. You didn't inflate it, you moron, blah, blah, blah. All comments are good. Comments help me with my channel. So by all means, comment. If you say mean things about people, I'll delete it. But other than that, if you want to comment negatively, that's fine. I got no problem with that. I didn't inflate my other ones, and I said that explicitly. Could not have been more clear. So here we'll do both. We're not going to inflate and we'll inflate, and I'll show you why, what happens here in just a second. All right, so we have income needs of $40,000 a year. We have Social Security at $20,000 a year. We're not inflating any of this. No cost of living adjustments, no inflation. Now, what I did do is we scroll down here to age 71, and we're reducing our income need by $4,000 a year, or 10%. All right, because I do firmly believe that the vast majority of people, when it comes to retirement, they're going to spend less as they get older. Not for everybody. Right now, though, the default is that everybody is going to spend each year more with inflation. So it was $40,000 this year, then $40,000 times 1.03 the next. Whatever that number is, times 1.3 the next, until we just have this linear, which way is it going, linear trajectory that you're going to spend more and more and more each and every year for inflation. I just don't believe that. Now, that might happen to you, and so you'd want to account for your own planning, but it's weird how that's the default, that you're going to spend more and more and more, and it should not be the default. If anything, it should be just going to be flat, but whatever. All right, so here I say we're going to spend $40,000 until we hit 70, then we're going to reduce it by 10% until we hit 80, then we're going to reduce it by another 10%, and we're going to die at 85. And again, that's all we're doing. No inflation at all on either side. The income expenditures or the income needs or the income provisions in terms of Social Security, and then and we're not inflating we're not adjusting it for growth rate of returns or anything like that on our portfolio. I probably butchered that. We're just having flat numbers. No income, no inflation adjusted needs for income, no inflation adjusted income either. All right. So it's just both sides of the balance sheet are flat. So when we do that, we have $40,000 a year, and that means we need $722,000 total, $722,000 total in income to cover from 66 to 85. 20 years. All right. So we need $722,000 total. Now, Social Security is only going to give us $400,000. All right, that's it. They're only going to give us $400,000 of income. So we have a deficiency of taking that 66 of 322,000, which means with all things being equal in a vacuum, we need $322,000 of a portfolio of CDs, of stocks, bonds, you need, it doesn't matter, of cash. We need $322,000 of cash to cover the deficit from the $400,000 Social Security gives us to the $722,000 that we need. All right, with me so far? Now, if we take it at 70, we have more income on a smaller amount. We only have more income for 20, I guess that'd be 16 years, but we have a lot more income over the 16 years. In fact, we're going to have 22,400 more of income, which means the total amount we need to cover the deficit from our spending needs and our income is 300,000. All right. So, and what I did here is I just said 300,000. Let me get myself out of the way is our income needs. And then we just did a simple calculation here. We said we take G3, which is this right, where's G3, which is this amount right here. Subtract 40,000 minus 20,000, and that means we have 259,000 left. And that because that difference between 40,000 and in this case we're doing it from F4, so we're doing that at 70, taking Social Security at 70. So we take G3, the amount I initially said we needed, and I just kind of bracket this, but here we have 299,600. We subtract our income need from the fact we're not getting any income that year, and that gives us 259 because it takes 40,000 out of this amount, and you go down 219, and then we start getting some Social Security kicking in, and you can see. So we need $299,600 in which to have $0 left when we die. All right, so basically $300,000. In this scenario, when we take at 66, we need $322,000 in which to have $0 when you die. All right, hope that makes sense. So that's, again, no inflation. So if you were to sit here today and say, I need $40,000 a year and I'm getting $20,000 from Social Security, my question is, when are you going to draw Social Security? If you said at 66, I'll say you need $322,000. If you say I'm going to draw it at 70, I'll say you need $300,000 or $299,600. All right, so that's what I say right now. So far, so good. All right, so now let's go here and inflate it because, again, this is the bugaboo a lot of people had, and I kind of get that, but we'll just do that to solve that. So I have an income need of $40,000 year one. Let me put myself here. And then in year two, we're going to adjust our income needs at 3%. So we're going to inflate our income needs at 3%. Year three, inflate at 3%. Year four, we inflate at 3%. Year five, again, another 3%. And then year six, we're dropping it down to 10% reduction in income need from the previous year. So now we have 10% reduction in income need, but it's still more than what it was in the beginning because of inflation. So here we need $40,000 to start with. Even after the 10% reduction in year six, we still need $41,734. Then we go down here to year, where is that? Year 80, right. Well, where was that? I can't keep my numbers here. Right there, year 80. All right, so we go here and we say we have the same thing. We have a reduction in year 80 right here. Okay, so we have a reduction. That's right. So in year 79, we need $52,000 with inflation. In year 80, we need $49,000 because we're reducing it by another 10%, and we still inflated that. And so when we die, the year we die, we need $56,814. So again, I'm taking the income need we need the first year, inflating it by 3% each decade. So at the age of 70, we're reducing that by 10%, which we still need $41,734. Reducing it again in age 80 by 10%, but we still need $49,008, which is substantially higher than our initial need of $40,000 because of inflation. Now, I'm doing the same with Social Security. We're not reducing it, though. Social Security, we're just getting inflation at 2.6%. All right, so the cost of living adjustment for inflation of cost of living adjustment for Social Security is only 2.6, whereas the inflated amount of income needs is 3%. So there's going to be a gap that's growing wider and wider and wider from Social Security and income, all right, because we're inflating income need at 3 and Social Security cost of living at 2.6. That makes sense? Now, the nice thing with Social Security, it doesn't get reduced at year 80 or year 70 and then again at year 80. So at the end of the day, we're getting $56,814 is what we need. of which 35,000 comes from Social Security, because Social Security is just a flat 2.6 each and every year. But with a lower rate of growth of 2.6, we're still always going to have between roughly $20,000 to $21,000 income need from other sources. All right, I hope that makes sense. So again, inflating Social Security at 2.6, inflating our income need at 3, but our income needs, reducing it by 10% when you hit 70, then another 10% when you hit 80. All right, so here we go again. As we're delaying Social Security until we hit 70. So again, we're taking a inflated amount. All right, that 22,000 to begin with is an inflated amount. We're taking 22,000 at 66, and we're going to reduce it by. We're not taking any money between 70 or 66 and 70, but then we're still inflating this amount because it is still growing with the cost of living adjustments, and we're getting 8% per year delayed earnings credits as well. So by 70 hits around, we have $32,180. Hope that makes sense. All right, so 32,180 is what we're getting here, and that which means we need 13,000 difference between our income need and what Social Security provides, whereas the other way we need about 20 to 21,000. All right, so here's 41,000. So let's go to year 70 when it drops off, and that's at year. Well, that's year 70. Let's go to year 80 when it drops off right here. So we're getting 49,000 from income need, and we're getting 41,000 from Social Security. So our gap is shrinking there because our income needs is declining, but our cost of living is going up and up and up, and it's based on a higher number to begin with. All right, so far so good. All right, so now what we've done here is we also, because we're inflating the income needs and we're inflating Social Security, well, now how much of a portfolio do we need to start off with? And so we calculate all these numbers. We just sum up all these numbers for our income need, and we sum up all these numbers for our income, and we sum up all these numbers for our income as well. So the income need is $953,000. The income that we get from taking Social Security is $567,000, which leaves us a deficit of $385,000. The income need that we get, the income that we get from taking Social Security at 70 is $628,000, which leaves us a deficit of $324,000. So far, so good. So in inflated numbers, we need to have $385,000 to offset our income needs and to augment, I should say, our Social Security. And the same thing, if we take it at 70, we need to have $324,000 in inflated dollars to augment the amount we get from Social Security. But remember, that's just inflated without considering a rate of return that we're going to get. So what I did here is I said, okay, let's say we had, and again, I bracketed this back and forth. I said, what happens if we have $245,000? We're going to get 7% a year rate of return. All right, so as you can see up here, you see that 7% rate of return. Now, again, this is linear, so it's not going to come out to be factual just because the linear rates of return with money coming out, it just doesn't work. It's year over year, but it gives you something to at least start with. So remember, we needed $385,000 of inflated money, but actually in today's numbers, you only need $245,000 because we're getting a 7% rate of return. So if we had $245,000, we start subtracting the amount of money we need here, and we subtract 22,000, or we subtract 18,000 from there. All right. So what you can see here is we're taking M3, which is this number, or 217,000, excuse me, M3, which is this number right here. All right. We're subtracting this number right here. Let's see, M3. We're subtracting J4, which is this, from K4, which is that, and then we're timesing the remainder by 7%. Actually, it was 207. Oh, I see what it is. We got to put 20,000 here. That's what it was. Okay. Boink. That should change everything. Yeah. Okay, good. And $245,000. All right. Yeah, there you go. I changed it around a little bit. So what you can see here is when it's only $217,000, we have a gap, a pretty significant gap. The last 4 years, we've run out of money. So we got to change that to 245. That's what we need to do. Watch this, crack how, and that should be, yeah, okay, good. So it's $245,000. When we started with 20,000 as opposed to 22,000, I was just messing around. So everything's now even, Steven. So $245,000 we start with. We have that as part of the calculation, as you can see here, M3. Then we subtract the income need of 40,000 minus the income we're getting from Social Security, which is J4 minus K4, and we times the remainder by 7%. So we take 20,000 out, but with a 7% rate of return, we're back to $240,750 after that year, and we just keep doing it. and we keep doing it, and we keep doing it. And at the end of 2000, at the end of our last year at 85 years old, we have $3,118 left. All right, so basically, essentially, going to bounce your last check. All right, so we have a deficit of $437,000. Just going back to Social Security, it was only $20,000 a year is what we're getting. But to fill that deficit, we only need $245,000 if we get 7% a year. All right, so look at that. Deficit $437, but if we take $245,000 the year we retire, we're going to be fine. We'll make enough to cover Social Security, to add to Social Security to cover our income needs, with a couple of things going on. One is that we're going to reduce our income by 10% in the decade when we hit 70, and another 10% in the decade we hit 80. And then part two is that we get 7% a year rate of return on our investments. All right, so that's two pretty big considerations. But if you're single right now and you're 66 and you need $40,000 a year, and you know for a fact you have $20,000 a year of Social Security, I'd say if you have between $200,000 and $250,000 in your portfolio, you're going to be fine. It's just all there is to it. Again, there's so many ifs, ands, and buts in here. You don't just set this and say, I'm fine. And then 83 years you're old, you don't have any money, or 83 years old, you got $2 million and you've been living like a pauper. You got to revisit this every year just to make sure you're squared away. But if this is you're watching this, you're 66 years old today, you're going to retire. You say, I need $40,000 a year. I have $20,000 from Social Security. How much of a portfolio do I need? And the answer is $245,000. That's just all there is to it, with those other two contingencies being calculated as well. All right, but then you say, well, what happens if I wait to take Social Security till I'm 70? What do I look like then? Because remember, now I'm getting more bang for my buck. I'm getting those 8% delayed earnings credits. So I should have to take less, have a portfolio less than $245,000, right? Well, watch this. I put $230,000 in there, and you run out of money right here in line 17, which is what year? That's year 79. So you don't have enough, all right, because you ran out of money. So let's keep going back. Let's see. We have we're going to do $240,000. We want to have a positive number at year 85. That would make sure we bounce our last check. $240,000. I still have negative numbers at year 85. So let's do $250,000. And if you're looking at the cell above this, you know the number that we're going to come up with. And even $250,000, we still have a negative number there. So what we need $255,000 to make sure that we have basically a zero, a bounce on our last check from when we die. All right. So again, because the screen is a calculation, is we take this amount here, subtract this amount from there, or subtract this amount from that amount. All right, so we take this amount right here, but first we subtract this amount from that amount, and then we subtract that amount from that, and then we times it by 0.07, and we literally bounce our last check, because literally we have negative $89 left when we died at the age of 85 years old. So you need $255,000 if you're not going to take your Social Security until you're the age of 70, even with your delayed earnings credits. So why is that? So remember, we got to go back. How do we figure this out? Well, here's at 70 years old, we take K4, which is this number here. We times it by 1.32 with our delayed earnings credits. Then we times it each year by 2.6 to inflate it with a 2.6 rate of return. That means 20,000 at 66 is the equivalent of 29,255 if you delay it till you're 70 years old. But yet, ironically, we need $10,000 more in our portfolio, even though we needed, 50? I mean, more than 50,000 in total assets. Here we needed 437,000 when we took Social Security at 66. Here we needed 381,000 when we took it at 70. But yet up here, we needed a portfolio bigger of $10,000 more taken at 70 than at 66. That doesn't make sense, Josh. Your numbers are whack. Well, the reason is because, look, that 7% a year rate of return at Social Security at 66, there's more in the account balance to draw that 7% than there is with delayed earnings credits, even though I'm getting 8% a year delayed earnings credits. The facts are I'm reducing by $40,000 a year for these first 4 years. So basically, I'm going to have essentially $100,000, basically $100,000 No, basically $160,000 not drawing the full 7% a year. So $40,000 in the first year is not drawing 7%. $40,000 in 6 years, and the second year is only drawing 7% for 1 year. $40,000 in the third year is only drawing 7% to the 2 years, and so on. And so I have less of my portfolio to draw the initial 7% a year, if that makes sense. Even though I'm getting an 8% delayed earnings credits, the delayed earnings credits are not compounding, and the 7% a year is compounding. It's incredible when you factor in how compounding can be, even with just a couple short years. And so even though I need significantly less inflated money by taking Social Security at 70, if I'm getting 7% rate of return, I need more money by delaying taking Social Security until I'm 70. So in this case, I say, Miss Sue will just say that's her and say this is for her. It's not, but just say it was. You need a portfolio of $245,000 to take it as Social Security at 66, or you need a portfolio of $255,000 to take Social Security at 70. And I just given you, I'm telling you right now, there's no way on God's green earth I'd tell her to delay here, because 1 or 2 bad years, remember, we're just assuming a 7% each year rate of return growth, and you're done. You're done for. Whereas at least here, you're only reducing your portfolio amount by $20,000 a year, which means more of your portfolio is in the account in order to draw that 7%. I know that's confusing. I hope that makes sense, but that's the end story, the end all, the answer to your question. If you need $40,000 a year and you're 66 today, and you're getting $20,000 a year from Social Security, and you think you can get 7% a year rate of return on your investments, and you're going to reduce your spending by 10% when you hit 70 and another 10% when you hit 80, and you're going to inflate your income need by 3%, and you're going to get 2.6 cost of living adjustment from Social Security. All these things are realistic, my friends. This is the stuff I'm just pulling out of the air in fantasy land. This is all realistic. Then you would need $245,000 at 66 in your portfolio to retire. You would need $255,000 at 70 in your portfolio to retire. I would absolutely suggest you retire at 66 and start Social Security in this scenario. Absolutely. It's just not even debatable to me what that would happen. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I hope this helps. A lot going on here. So comments are welcome, welcome, welcome. And I just want to thank Sue, the subscriber, for getting me thinking about this. And I'm going to have a second video next where I talk about ways to increase your Social Security for the single person. So don't forget to subscribe. And of course, go to the blog at heritagewealthplanning.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.